Hey there, and welcome to the Rickshaw Journey. I'm Bob McGurty, and I'm your host of this weekly podcast. And I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad you're here watching. And the Rickshaw Journey is really about sharing life, sharing leadership lessons, sharing things that I've learned along the way so that hopefully I can help you. Maybe a tidbit of wisdom, maybe a thought, maybe hearing my story connects to your story. I'm in the process of writing a book called Rickshaw Journey, and it's about finding your voice and leading with purpose. So the book is actually Rickshaw Journey, finding your voice and leading with purpose. And this is what the podcast is about: finding your voice, leading with purpose. And every week I try to focus on a different area, maybe some fun stories, maybe some lessons, maybe some thoughts, some things learned. And this week, I really want to talk about Calcutta Mercy. And over the weeks, I also want to talk about some stories, some testimonies, and some of the work of what we do, and some of the things that happen on the ground in Calcutta and other parts of India where Calcutta Mercy is. But today, I want to talk about the organization Calcutta Mercy, and I really want to answer the question of why Calcutta Mercy exists. And I can't tell the why story of why Calcutta exists without telling the Mark and Hulda Buntain story. Mark and Hulda were itinerant evangelists, originally from Canada, traveling across Canada and the US, and they were sent on an assignment, a 9-month assignment, to go to Calcutta, India, and to help while somebody was out of station. And that was in 1954. Their story is an amazing one. And actually, if you type into whether you're watching this on Facebook Live or on YouTube or wherever you're catching this, if you type "I want the book," and I'll send a personal message to get your address. But we have a book. I think it's called Women of Courage. It talks about Hulda Buntain, and it's a little bit about the Calcutta story. I'd be glad to send that to you, just as a gift. But so Mark and Hulda Buntain, 1954, headed out to Calcutta, and even getting there is a story. 2 months by boat and all the details. They arrived with their young daughter, Bonnie. And so Mark and Hulda and Bonnie arrived 1954 and just began doing ministry, telling people about Jesus. Mark was an evangelist, so he did open air meetings, street meetings. And what happened was, in one of those open air street meetings, what I would call a heckler, somebody just got in the middle of the crowd, stopped his preaching, and said, "Hey, preacher, feed our empty bellies and then try to tell us there's a God in heaven that loves us." And I'm sure that Mark just went on and did his ministry, but that got inside the core of Mark Buntain. You see, doing work of compassion, ministry of compassion, might be a choice for some, but when you're in a place as needy and as difficult and as desperate, certainly as Calcutta was in 1954 and onward, Mark could not ignore the words of that man. Sleepless nights, prayer time. And so he wrote to his founding organization that sent him to the organization that sent him to serve as missionaries for that time. And incidentally, you know, a 9-month assignment turned out to be a lifetime. Mark was there until 1989 in his death, and sister, or Auntie Buntain, Auntie Hulda as we called her, until 2021, just a few years ago. They gave their lives for this 9-month assignment. They were sent for 9 months, but they gave their entire life. But Mark could not escape this belly thing, this feed me and then try to convince me there's a God in heaven that loves us and cares about us. So he wrote to the organization and said, hey, I'm sent here to preach. I love to preach. I'm having open air meetings, but we've got to feed these people. How do we do this? They're just hungry people. There's uneducated people. There's people who are sick. We have to do something. And without sounding discouraging or disparaging, he didn't get the help that he hoped for, and he was told to stay on task and preach the gospel, do the things that he needed to do. And through a process, in short form, he called his brother and said, you got to help me. And that help me was originally called the Cry of Calcutta, then Calcutta Mission of Mercy. And it went through a number of iterations, but the organization I represent today as the president and chair, the founders are Mark and Hulda Buntain of Calcutta Mercy. So that's how it got started. But why does it exist? Our role as Calcutta Mercy is to go alongside of trusted partners in Calcutta and everywhere actually that we work. It's the Assembly of God Church that we work with, leaders who we know, love, trust, respect, and honor, who are doing the work of the ministry, and we come alongside and help. And today we explain that help as feed, educate, and medically assist. We feed, educate, and medically assist the deserving of India. And the deserving can sound a little weird or need an explanation. We used to say feed, educate, and medically assist the poor of India. Well, poor is a judgment statement. If you say those poor people are the poor, and we felt like that was not a healthy or an appropriate label. So we chose to replace poor with deserving. And deserving, everyone deserves to have food, to have an opportunity for education, to have medical assistance. But further than that, we believe everyone deserves the good news of God. And so we feed, educate, and medically assist the deserving. We do more than that, but those are the things that we're most known by. That's our tagline of what we do. How do we do it? The feed, it happens both in feeding stations and feeding lines across India, where people are given a hot meal. They're known by the community, and they need that meal. It's part of their survival, and we gladly do that. Also, the feed happens in the schools, and a hot meal is absolutely essential to education, because without nutrition, the brain does not develop and function. And if you're just hungry, you're not able to concentrate on your studies. And so that's a big deal, is being able to provide a hot meal. In some places that may be an optional or a good thing, but if you're food deprived, it's necessary. So we feed, we educate. The education, we do that through a child sponsorship. And I'll talk about that at some point, and we'll kind of do a live show how that looks. But we educate, and we do that through child sponsorships, and we medically assist. And back in 1977, there was a hospital that was originally the Assembly of God Hospital. Then it became Mission of Mercy, and now it's called Mercy Hospital. And not just through the hospital, but through other medical outreaches and clinics. So those three things are what we do. We feed, we educate, we medically assist. Why do we do it? India deserves it. Everybody deserves food, education, and medical care. And we're committed to that. And we don't have a big pot of money. We don't have huge grants and governmental funding. We really rely on individuals and churches and organizations. From time to time, we may get a grant. But our role, we don't own anything. We don't own a hospital. We don't own a school. We don't own feeding programs. But we walk alongside those who are smarter than us, have been doing it longer than us, and we believe in them, and we trust them, and we work with them. And so that's what we get to do. And it's important. It's important that every person's belly is addressed, that that the belly needs to be full, and we do it all in the name of God. We don't apologize for that. We're not embarrassed about it. We are a faith-based organization. We share God's love when we do this. And so it's been, so take 1954, so do some quick math, and we've been doing this for 72 years. And it's not me, but our founders, Mark and Hulda Buntain. The work has never quit in terms of its need. I remember Auntie Hulda Buntain in her last years, almost like a prophet. She would stand up in Calcutta, and she would talk about the work having a life beyond her and beyond her husband, and saying, this is God's work. This is not Mark and Hulda Buntain's work. And if it's God's work, it will continue. I believe this work is important. We help the local church to tangibly say, God loves you, God cares about you, and here's some help, here's some food, here's an opportunity. And we know statistics show it, United Nations and UNICEF and others show it, that education is the path out of poverty. And so that's important. And then, when medical needs can be addressed at some level, life is better and people are healthier. And when people are healthier and when they're fed and when they're educated, you break the cycle of poverty and you tangibly say, God loves you and cares about you. I love what I get to do with Calcutta Mercy. I invite you to partner with us, and literally, if you just put in a note, tell me more, or you can email me, bob@calcuttamercy.org. CALCUTTA, calcuttamercy.org, bob@calcuttamercy.org. You can go on our website, www.calcuttamercy.org, and we'd love to connect with you. We'd love to tell you more about the story. And if you are already a partner who has been generous and supportive of Calcutta Mercy, can I just take a moment and just say thank you? You're the reason we get to do what we do. We can have lots of dreams and vision and desire to expand the tent pegs and do more, but it's you who make that possible. So thank you for your generosity. Thank you for believing in Calcutta Mercy. And whatever you do, no matter how little it is, it becomes much in God's hands. And so God bless you. Thanks for letting me take a moment on the Rickshaw Journey and talk about Calcutta Mercy and talk about our why. And I'd love to get into some more details in a further podcast where we'll talk about the specifics of what we do, talk about child sponsorship, talk about how you can get involved. But for today, welcome on the Rickshaw Journey with me. And I hope that this helps you in maybe just a little bit to find your voice and to find your place and to lead with purpose. God bless you. Thank you so much.